2 years have slipped away, yet the recollection of that day remains etched in my thoughts, haunting me like an incomplete melody. What started as a casual day at the beach with my son, Liam, under the warm sun quickly transformed into an experience beyond my wildest expectations. A solitary instant, delicate and ephemeral, transformed everything. And now whenever I shut my eyes it washes over me. An existence that was never intended to unfold. A threshold breached that ought to have remained untouched. Could it have been a momentary lapse? Or perhaps something more sinister? Is there something I can never take back? There are moments that intricately weave themselves into the tapestry of our memory, enduring through the passage of time. They hover like soft murmurs, quiet, yet perpetually observant. 2 years have slipped by since that fateful day. It has been 2 years since the world transformed irrevocably. A seemingly ordinary day at the beach with my son Liam was brimming with the potential for adventure. Once more my husband Marcus was nowhere to be found, his unwavering commitment to work often eclipsing the moments we could share as a family. Eventually, I found myself welcoming this solitude, but that particular day possessed a distinct and unusual essence. In those moments, much like now, we discovered our sanctuary, soaking in the sun's embrace, which seemed almost overwhelmingly fierce. As I reclined, finally liberated from the din of the outside world, I beckoned Liam to assist in spreading oil across my back. I pressed on, undeterred and resolute. He is my dear child, my precious little one. What drives my choices? Initially, it appeared inconsequential, merely his hands leading me forward. Eventually, I found clarity in it. His presence seemed to descend, gradually dissipating into the ether, and I opted for silence. What prompts this question? Could I not prevent him? You believe you hold the key to comprehension. One may believe they have a profound understanding of their family's essence. Yet, within that moment, there exists a singular force capable of dismantling everything. It was upon that shore where everything transformed for me, eternally influencing the trajectory of my existence. For over 15 years, Marcus and I have woven together the intricate tapestry of marriage. To those familiar with our lives, we would be depicted as the quintessential couple, residing in a delightful abode, nurturing remarkable children, and savoring a life marked by stability. Yet, the fissures remain concealed, only disclosing their presence when one becomes ensnared in the embrace of the environment. Only those who immerse themselves in its depths can genuinely comprehend the essence of the void. 4 years, Marcus's career journey consumed his very being. He labored tirelessly, his commitment unyielding. I opted to refrain from interfering in his chosen path. During weekends and holidays, I reassured myself that his extended hours and unwavering commitment were all in pursuit of a more promising future for our family. Yet, as time progresses, that narrative begins to unravel at the edges. What value does a house possess if it remains vacant, devoid of the comforting embrace of human touch? As he stepped back into the familiar embrace of home, I dissolved into the shadows, a faint echo lost in the atmosphere. He hardly acknowledged my presence. He ceased inquiring about my feelings, my desires, and my needs. Our conversations tended to be succinct, centered on the essentials of existence: expenses, provisions, and the children. He cherished a profound love for Liam and his younger sister Chloe. Yet, amidst their gathering, he appeared to hover like a shadow of obscurity. He stood before us, a presence in the room, yet his heart appeared to drift into distant realms. As I sat at the table opposite him, I couldn't help but wonder if he even noticed my presence that morning. In the stillness of the kitchen, I recall the instant when Marcus rushed out the door with urgency. In a fluid gesture, he grasped his briefcase, bestowed a soft kiss upon the top of Chloe's head, and shot a quick look in my direction, an unspoken apology hanging between us. Alas, my dear Althea, it is with a heavy heart that I must convey my inability to join you today. A challenge arose within the confines of the workplace. I decided to hold back from engaging in any dispute. I simply nodded, as was my habit, sensing a constriction in my throat. I reassured myself with the notion that everything was as it should be. In a time long past, there existed a character known as Liam. In a time long past, there lived a young boy named Liam, a mere 16 summers old, tall and lean, who set out on a journey fueled by a desire for freedom. His brown eyes reflected his father's, yet his expression held a gentler nuance. He held his tongue, even as I disclosed that it would be just the two of us. He appeared to have become familiar with his father's regular disappearances, merely shrugging in reply. With a steady hold on the bags, he accompanied me as we approached the vehicle. As we journeyed down the serpentine road, I glimpsed him in the passenger seat, earphones snugly fitted in his ears, adrift in contemplation, gazing out the window as a youthful dreamer would. A smile slowly unfurled upon my lips. He was maturing at an astonishing pace, and there were instances when I caught myself pondering if a mere blink would mean he was suddenly no longer there. The road to the coastline unfurled without end, every footfall resonating with the weight of time. My thoughts drifted, as they often do, to Marcus, recalling the myriad adventures we once experienced together, particularly those lengthy, captivating movie nights we cherished. Are you all still following along? Press 1 to indicate that you remain alongside me on this journey. As I meandered through the streets, embracing the thrill of spontaneous escapades, echoes of his gentle caresses flooded my mind, along with the spark that ignited in his eyes whenever they met mine. For years those sensations twirled just beyond my grasp, leaving me feeling empty, exhausted by the burden of remaining unseen. Finally, we reached our destination, where Liam offered his assistance, leading me as we transported the bags to a secluded area by the glistening water. As I meticulously folded the towels, he adeptly arranged the umbrella, crafting a snug nook for our day to unfold. A sudden compulsion to engage in conversation with him enveloped me in a shroud of mystery. It might have been his position as my sole confidant, or maybe I simply craved a receptive listener for my musings. Venturing outdoors evokes a charming wave of happiness. Would you not agree that this holds true? With a practiced smile he nodded, his fingers effortlessly sweeping back his hair in a nonchalant gesture. Indeed, dear mother, it is truly a pleasure. As I nestled onto the towel, the sun's warm caress enveloped me, and I lingered in that tranquil moment, relishing the quietude. I paused to relax, hoping to ease the burden of the past few years, even if just for a brief hour. Recalling the oil, I glanced at Liam and asked, "Would you mind giving me a hand with this?" I searched for clarity concerning my back. Alas, I discover that I cannot set forth on this journey by myself. He glanced my way for a brief moment, pausing before taking the bottle I extended. As I reclined, my eyes locked onto the towel, I braced myself for the unfolding events ahead. The first contact was soft and tentative, his hands hesitant, as though he aimed to shield me from any hint of discomfort. A smile danced upon my lips. It evoked memories of his youth, when he would clutch my hand firmly as we navigated the street side by side. Back then, his hands were so tiny that I could exert just a bit more pressure. I conveyed the news to him, my voice scarcely rising above a whisper. "It is perfectly acceptable." As he listened with keen focus, his hands became more adept, expertly working the oil into my shoulders. With my eyes closed, I concentrated on the gentle warmth of his rhythmic touch sweeping across my back. For a brief moment, I allowed myself to relish the experience. The passage of time had rendered me untouched, and the weight of that reality struck me with a force I was reluctant to acknowledge. In that moment, I felt his hands move softly and deliberately along the curve of my back. My breath hitched in my throat, and as I opened my lips to utter a sound, silence enveloped me, surrounding me with a profound stillness. I reassured myself with the notion that everything was as it should be. He asserted that he was simply extending a hand, suggesting that I was ensnared in my own delusions. However, I discovered that I was not in that circumstance. His hands lingered momentarily at the border of my towel, and the air was thick with uncertainty. I sensed the awakening of my own feelings, and rather than halting him, I merely replied, "It's acceptable. Embrace the path that lies ahead of you." The words lingered, dense and palpable, and as they escaped my lips, I grasped the gravity of their lasting impact. Liam remained motionless, wrapped in an intense stillness. I shut my eyes, a tide of unease enveloping me as I felt his hands linger in a space that seemed far too personal. My heart raced with intensity, as if he could perceive its cadence. A profound yearning welled up inside me, compelling me to shift my stance and elevate myself to a seated position. I possessed the authority to command him to cease, yet I refrained. I could not allow it to unfold. Even now, I find myself reflecting on the motivations that drive my choices. Was it the pang of solitude that propelled me, or maybe an ingrained desire for affirmation, regardless of the toll it took on my moral compass? Or perhaps it was merely that I felt a sense of indifference toward everything. On that fateful day at the beach, a deep metamorphosis took place within me, altering everything in Wynn's story, and nothing would ever return to its former state, should you decide to embark on this narrative. Your continued engagement is genuinely appreciated. It appears to be a considerable challenge. If this video resonates with you, or if you believe someone might find my story meaningful, I would be truly grateful if you could spare a moment to like and subscribe. It profoundly aids my quest in crafting narratives, and brings me solace in the awareness that I am connected to others. As we turn our attention back to the narrative, following that day by the shore, an extraordinary transformation emerged that I found impossible to ignore. The emotions I experienced, the sights I witnessed, and Liam's lingering gaze were anything but fleeting. They forged ahead, resolute in their resolve. Each time our eyes met, a quiet metamorphosis occurred within him, an ineffable quality that I struggled to define yet could not overlook. As we arrived back home that evening, I made a concerted effort to suppress it, working diligently to maintain an appearance of normalcy in every conceivable manner. As the evening drew near, I began to weave together a charming supper. As I meticulously folded the laundry in the quiet hours of the night, my hands quivered with the weight of each garment. I glanced over at Liam and inquired about his school day. Again and again, I felt an irresistible pull towards those moments shared with him, the way he lingered, and the electric tension that surged within me. I despised myself for it, and a profound bitterness welled up within me towards him for provoking such feelings about my own child. Marcus meandered through existence, delightfully oblivious to the surroundings that enveloped them. He returned home as was his custom, his tie askew, the burdens of the day marked on his weary visage. He pressed his lips to my cheek, a gesture steeped in familiarity, a haunting reminder of what had once flourished after a long day. I inquired, yearning for a dialogue, yet he merely grunted and nodded, already heading toward the living room. A narrative that revealed itself repeatedly. His presence hung in the air, a soft murmur that drew me back into the depths of darkness. That night I lay in bed, my eyes fixed on the ceiling while Marcus lay softly beside me, ensnared in the realm of dreams. The house radiated a tranquil stillness, yet inside me, a tempest of thoughts swirled relentlessly. My thoughts drifted, enchanted by the vision of Liam, his hands and the fervor of his gaze echoing in my mind. I came to recognize the inappropriateness of my emotions. I understood that it was wise to bring a halt to whatever was developing, before it spiraled beyond my grasp. Yet a shadowed, more solitary part of my being yearned to cling to it, desiring the gaze, the touch, the sensation of being truly seen. As the days passed, Liam remained silent, yet within that stillness, his quietude conveyed a depth of meaning that resonated far beyond the reach of mere words. He did not entirely fade from my grasp, you see. He appeared to linger suspended in time, just a heartbeat away. He observed me in my moments of cooking, cleaning, or simply sitting alone on the couch at night, and I allowed it to happen. I allowed him to proceed along his chosen course. I restrained myself from restraint. With the arrival of the next weekend, a sweltering heat descended upon the home, wrapping it in a stifling embrace that felt utterly unbearable. As Marcus embarked on his journey aboard the last ship, Liam and I were left in solitude once again. I inquired whether he would be interested in returning to the beach, just the two of us, to savor a moment together. I find myself puzzled as to why I proposed this idea. Perhaps I imagined that stepping into the vast expanse of nature would yield some form of benefit. Enlighten my thoughts. Perhaps I aimed to push my boundaries to see if I could untangle it all. This time the journey unfolded with a tranquil elegance. Yet, Liam decided against donning his headphones. He remained seated, his gaze locked on the realm outside the window, adrift in contemplation. His knee moved with a restless cadence. A profound compulsion stirred within me, compelling me to disrupt the stillness and voice the thoughts that lingered in the quiet around me. Yet each time I attempted to voice a sound, the words remained ensnared within, unwilling to break free. Upon my arrival at the sandy shore, I discovered a nearly deserted paradise awaiting me.